They say don't judge a book by its cover, but I'm here to tell you that the stunning game 9 Years of Shadows is just as beautiful inside as it is outside. Metroidvania fans have much to enjoy and explore from this debut title from Halberd Studios, giving you all the genre-defining features but refined to their utmost potential. You play as a young woman named Europa, who lost her parents after color was stripped away from her world, consigned to watch them slowly die, like much of the kingdom. The source of this colorless sickness is the Talos Castle, where Europa finally enters after years of training and regaining the will to face this solemn world. Upon entering the castle, she comes face to face with an enormous and deadly creature that quickly defeats her. On the brink of death, she is rescued by a ghostly teddy bear in a nightshirt named 𝐴𝐵𝐼𝐻. 𝐴𝐵𝐻. Listen, I don't know exactly how to say his name. There's no voice acting, so cut me some slack. As you can see from the footage, yes, he is the cutest patootiest. And on top of that, he simultaneously heals Europa and returns color to the castle, all with a hug. The power of love, y'all. This hug is actually one of the first major mechanics of the game because there's no healing items. Instead, you have a combined health and stamina bar that can be filled just about over halfway once it's been depleted, and all with the magical hug from 𝐴𝐵𝐻. This life stamina bar is an important part of your gameplay to manage because of its dual function. It drains both when you take damage and when you use our little teddy bear friend's magical cast ability. Oh yeah, this cute teddy bear doesn't just heal us with tender loving care, but also lends us its magical ability. 𝐜𝐨𝐵𝐻 unique magical attack can damage certain enemies who are invulnerable to all other attack types, and this ability can trigger different buttons and switches you encounter around the castle in order to explore further. Now, this multifunctional nature of the life and stamina bar is where the tricky part comes in, because if you use this power too liberally and you don't hug our dear 𝐴𝐵𝐻 to refill it, you can be killed by enemies and sent back to your nearest save. You might say, ah, well, easy. I just hug the little teddy bear and keep going. Except that is a generous, warm, prolonged hug which you cannot interrupt, else the power of love is broken and you will not be healed. So, you have to try again if it gets interrupted, and that's if you aren't being attacked non-stop. Besides hugging, another method of healing is the piano playing save points, of which there are several scattered around the various areas in the castle. Feast your eyes as Europa sits down on the gorgeous blue piano and plays a lovely tune, while 𝐴𝐵𝐻 flies to the little alcove above. Between the beauty of the animation and the sonorous piano playing, such an innocuous element in games like a save spot is turned into a piece of art. Okay, but what about the gameplay? Well, let me tell you, it is glorious. Your halberd is not just awesome looking, but fast and powerful, unleashing a variety of jabs and winding attacks. Besides jabbing your foes with your majestic golden weapon, you'll be unlocking elemental powers and armor sets that give you new abilities, expanding your access to new areas in the castle. My personal favorite armor set and attack is the Poseidon armor and the Mermaid power, which create such fluid platforming while traversing the levels. Not to mention how powerful and cool she looks in that sharp shoulder armor set. Look at this glam! On top of these varied armor sets and skills, you're able to level up abilities and upgrade your armor. You do so by finding hidden musical notes, armor, and currency, some of which are behind breakable walls. Once you've got all these elements, you'll take them over to the orchestra. That's right, your upgrade stations are artists of all kind, which you will trade your musical notes and currency for in order to get upgrades, which would expand things like your life bar, your weapon strength, and your armor strength. Some of these orchestra members are actually hiding away in different parts of the castle and give you side quests, which typically involve killing a big baddie so they can join up with the rest of their group. And as an interesting side note, 2 main orchestra composers that you'll be interacting with are actually the real-life composers of the game's music. Speaking of music, pause everything you're doing, close your eyes, and just listen. This music is set at a frequency known as healing music, and while I can't attest to its healing qualities, to my ears it sounds like my new go-to lo-fi playlist. In fact, despite the many almost rage moments I had while playing and dying to bosses or mini-bosses, the lo-fi beats brought me back down to a calmer state. This allowed me to regain my control and precision in order to deal with the complex attack patterns that these enemies unleashed. So scratch that, maybe it does heal. I don't know, I'm not a doctor. And as tenderly as our teddy bear hugs us, or as soothingly that the music caresses our ears, the visuals are here to stun our eyes. Visually arresting in its ravishing handcrafted pixel art, 9 Years of Shadows jumps off the screen in its color depth and breadth, balancing the complexity of the background designs with the foreground in a perfect dance. I mean, look at it. The shadows have been banished for now, and if I lived in a world so rich in color, I might also succumb to the night if such beauty was stripped from my life so suddenly. An extra note I want to add is the elevator scenes, which offer unique and interesting story information about Europa as the next area loads. Revealed to us are the inner thoughts of Europa, like her understandable exhaustion of running and attacking enemies all over the castle. This was a small detail, but it's the many small details that truly showed me these developers weren't just making a game, but art. However, I would be remiss not to mention some of the issues I've encountered so far, the biggest of which were game crashing bugs. These crashes typically happened when I died to a boss or mini-boss, which in many ways was the best possible outcome in this scenario. Regardless, these crashes broke the flow of the game and some of my trust that it wouldn't crash at random, which thankfully it did not. Some of the other smaller bugs I noticed were freezing or crashing when I pressed inputs too quickly. This was partly due to me trying to get to new areas faster so I could see as much of the game as possible and discuss it all in this review. So speedrunners, beware. Which is a shame because the fluidity of movement and battle in this game would lend itself perfectly for speedrunning. And here comes my biggest critique, even more so than the game crashing bugs, and that would be the save system. In my opinion, the saves were frustrating due to their scarcity, which became very apparent when I died to mini-bosses and was brought back to a save point that was quite far away from the battle. And for one boss, a roach-like creature, it almost broke me due to the lack of a nearby save spot if you continue going forward and exploring. Now, you might just say, Rose, just go back and save, don't be difficult. And I would respond, why can't the game just make it convenient and fun? What do I learn? How do I grow as a player? What test of my skills is going backwards for a save? Why can't we have a save point right after the boss that follows the natural path forward? Or even better, an autosave after defeating the boss. Despite these misgivings, I don't want to end this review on a negative note because everything about 9 Years of Shadows is exemplary. This is the kind of game where you can see its influences, but even more so, the way that it takes the genre and elevates it. 9 Years of Shadows is happily awarded the Golden Genie Lamp, and a heavy recommendation to get this game now. To play it, to revel in its artistry, to applaud the developers for creating this, and to spread the word.